Hi, good evening, everybody. I do apologise. I got a little bit of a cold, so if I sound a little bit snuffly, my apologies for that. Yeah, tonight, workshop number 10. I'm going to be talking to you about street photography. It's probably my favourite genre of photography as at this time. I do a little bit of landscape work as well from time to time, but it's mainly street photography that I just love to get involved with. The book I'm going to talk about later, I want to go straight to the Flickr group because there's been some great images posted up. Only a few this week, but let's go and just check them out first of all and make some comments on those that have very kindly added the images onto the site, the Flickr group workshop site. So just bear with me while this gets loaded up. We should be showing the site now. Here we are, Flickr. So first of all, John Dalton's posted up 3 of images here of seascapes. Nice images, John. Just a little pointer, really, to be quite honest with, all very good. I like the way that you haven't kept the horizon dead center, maybe apart from this one, but that doesn't matter because you've got a lovely lead in with these footprints. Let's talk about this first one here, Sea and Sky, number 17. Yeah, as I say, lovely lead in with the footprints there, which makes you want to look into the image. That's very good. So I'm not worried about the horizon being dead center here. What I would say is I think you've got to look at perhaps bringing into your photography a vignette, and that's darkening the corners here to concentrate my view into the image a little bit more. Nothing wrong with that image at all. The only thing I would mention here, which we've got to talk about in the future with regards to some of these works that's been posted up on the sites, be very mindful. There's a very faint line, green line here, going along the edge of your cliff structure here. Now this is down to if you've over sharpened, or sometimes if you haven't set the parameters correctly in Lightroom, and I can talk to you about that maybe not today but a later time. You can in actual fact ask Lightroom to remove that green line. It's sort of like a highlight. It gets worse as you add sharpening to your image. Every image generally has to be sharpened in Lightroom, but I'm not saying you've done it, but there's a possibility that you might have overdone it here. On this particular screen, it's not showing it as bad as it was on my laptop, but you can just see it, very faint light green line there, which can be removed in Lightroom. So we'll come to that. If I don't get around to it today, maybe John, I'll have a chat with you on a one-to-one. Next image. Yeah, it's a nice sunset. I think you caught the sun a little bit too late. I'd like to see the sun a little bit higher here. And this is the difficulty about sunset sometimes. I would have just cropped that bottom part off there. These waves here are a little bit of a distraction for me. I probably would have tried to make this more sort of like a pano type image. You could almost lose half of that. Now, the other way to look at this is if you set it on a tripod and you made this a long exposure, then of course, then you've got something interesting going on here with the movement of the waves. But here it's out of focus, which obviously because you're concentrating on the horizon for your focusing point. So I would have a tendency to just crop the bottom, save the bottom third of that off. And timing, I think if you've taken an image with the sun a little bit higher in the sky, I think that would have given it a little bit more of a dynamic view, but a nice effort there as well with this sunset. The next image is again another good effort. This is where I think the vignette would really look better for your images, taking and darkening down the corners here. It's lovely in focus. There's no problem. Maybe the horizon needs to be looked at. It seems to be tilting just slightly. Be a little bit mindful of horizons in images like this. Yeah, you can just see it. It's just slightly tilted to the left. So be mindful of that. But all in all, yeah, it's an interesting image that you've created there. I would darken the corners down to improve the image. A nice balance of color, by the way, as well, that you've done there. The next image, Stephen Green. Yeah, Stephen, following on from last week, your images are really outstanding. I love the angle of this one where you're looking straight up. You've got yourself right tight, close to the building, and you've used that as if it is a landscape, and it really brings in these angles and the design of the building here. These are rivets, obviously, and some kind of design to the building and the reflection of the sky. How about using a low density filter and neutral density filter rather, and let's see these skies moving. It's a very, very popular way of taking cityscapes and photographs of buildings where the sky is, and the clouds rather, are moving with a 5, 10 or maybe 15-second burst. So have a look at that next time. Set it up on a tripod, get yourself a neutral density filter, something like a 10 stopper, and have a crack at that. But I like this image again. I think you've done some good work. No doubt you've got an ND 10 stopper. Let's see that again. The next one, I've taken shots of the ball ring as well, and this is a different angle, which I must be honest, I've never seen before. So congrats on that image. I love the angle that you've set here. It's making me really think about the image itself. It's beautifully in focus. Look at this. This is lovely. The whole of those beads on the side of the ball ring are in focus. And I must be honest, I don't know where you've taken this, so I'll be intrigued if you could send me an email, because this is really making me think, and it's a great angle. I love angles in the images, so well done. You say looking up at the Selfridges building, which is what this studied building is. Martin's Church is casting a shadow. So yeah, beautiful. There's Martin's Church, obviously. I'd like to know what this is here. I'm intrigued. It's a great photo. Love it, Stephen. Don't get me wrong. I'd like if you could send me an email just to let me know a little bit more about that, because I've been to the ball ring and never ever taken a shot from that angle. So congrats to you on that one. It's a good one to finish up on, really, with regards to looking at the Flickr site. So thanks, Rashani, for having those. Let's have more. Let's have more. I've put it back to 2 images a week. And I just want to help you if I can, to just give you the odd comment. I'm not going to give you major critiques and say your photography is rubbish. That's not my position to do that. I just want to give you a little bit of a guidance if I can, and pointers. So anyway, thanks, Rashani, for that. Street photography, my absolute joy at the moment, getting out and taking street photographies. Let's start off with what do you need. Obviously, you need a camera and you need a lens, obviously. 3 things that you can take. I haven't brought it with me, but obviously you can take your iPhone. There's nothing wrong in doing street photography with your iPhone. In actual fact, the iPhone these days is becoming probably one of the most useful tools to use when you're out street photography. Main thing is inconspicuous. People do not mind people taking photographs with their iPhones. Everybody's doing it. Very good app that you can probably look to get to fit to your iPhone is the Hipstamatic app. It's a free download, and you get a few lenses and a few film simulations with the package. You can then further on by buying more lenses and buying more film filtrations to fit your camera. The beauty of it is now, and they've upgraded the system with Hipstamatic, you can take the photograph in a mono, but later you can edit to be a color. And there are so many different filter operations and applications within Hipstamatic, which really make this an exciting app to use. And then you can just share straight out to Facebook, to your Twitter, to your Instagram, to your Pinterest accounts. And it's just a fantastic. I've been doing a lot of that recently, which we may have a look at later on. But certainly the iPhone is, well, it's always with you, isn't it? Let's be honest. When you're out walking about, you've always got a phone with you. Secondly, why not just a simple little compact camera? There's no reason why you just can't go along. In actual fact, one of the photographers, which I'm going to show you later on, one of my big-time favorites, Daido Moriyama, he uses a film equivalent of a compact camera. This is a digital Fuji XF1, which in actual fact would be my backup camera when I go out with my other camera for just straight street walkabout. And that literally folds down flat like that into my pocket, and I've taken some really great images with that when I've run out of battery, believe it or not, with my other camera. My main go-to camera for street photography is my lovely Fuji 100S. Now I know there's the T version. I haven't upgraded it. Personally, I don't see the necessity to do that, but everyone I talk to says that the T is an absolute fantastic camera. There is another addition to the Fuji family now, which is the X70, which doesn't have the viewfinder. But again, I just love this camera. It's absolutely superb. It's a fixed lens with a, let me just check before I make a mistake, with a 23 millimeter lens on the front there, f2 on there, which allows me to aperture select. I can go shutter select, and I can put it straight into program if I want. Setup of my camera, basically I would set my camera to aperture priority for street photography, and I would set my ISO to auto. So that allows the me to change the aperture for depth of field. And generally, I'm looking at using the aperture between 2 and 5.6. I very rarely go above 5.6 unless there is a particular reason for it. By doing that, camera sets the aperture, the shutter speed for me automatically, and the ISO makes that allowance and that difference. Now, there's one other thing which I've been playing with quite a lot recently when I'm using aperture priority is the EV control. Now, the EV control is a dial which allows you to let more or less light into the camera, maintaining the settings that you've used. And this is a very, very good tool. And I'm going to show you more when we go to the screen share on the photographers and how they're using light. And the photographers which I'm about to show you are photographers which are not what I would term as standing on the street waiting for passers-by. You're going to see a lot of this on Flickr and Instagram, where people are just sitting there waiting and watching people walk by and thinking, well, it is street photography, but let's be honest, it's not classic, and it's not a type of work which is going to bowl people over. Street photography is the closest thing that you will get to photojournalism. If in actual fact it is photojournalism, you are recording street history. Photojournalism has been around basically since cameras started, and we can go right back to people like Eugene Atgay, obviously Henri Cartier-Bresson, Brassai, all these names, that Kudelka, the names that roll off the tongue for myself with regards to street photography and their photojournalism. It is how they recorded what was going on in their cities at the time, be it in wartime or in just basic peacetime, where major things were changing in their cities and they wanted to record it. And it's really our duty as a photographer, if we're into street photography, to do the same, because it's changing. So many things that you see now would not have seen 10 years ago. Dress, cars, buildings. And that leads me on to, what is street photography? Now, there is a general feeling that street photography involves the human form. Urban photography is probably considered to be one where people concentrate more on buildings and abstracts and I don't know, dust carts and that sort of thing, and dustbins, something that catches the eye. So there is a difference, but to be quite honest with you, it's under this huge umbrella of street photography. And to be quite honest with you, street has never been more popular. You've only got to take a walk now along the South Bank in London to see how many people are out there with their cameras. Albeit not with what I would consider inconspicuous cameras. Some of them with their big Nikons and Canons and all sorts of equipment. Excuse me. So let's go and have a look at some photography. And really what I'm trying to do is to point you in the direction as regards to improving potentially your street view, what you're looking for and what you want to take photographs of. And so let's go back to the screen share, and I'll show you some examples of some work of guys that I really do love. The first one, fantastic photographer from Los Angeles, who I in actual fact have interviewed on my other show, Photography Live and Uncut, is Rinzi Ruiz. Rinzi lives in Los Angeles, and he goes out shooting photographs. And as these are scrolling through, you can see what he is looking for. He's looking for light. He's looking for light. He's looking for shadow. He's not looking for an even balance of image. He's looking for that dark area and the light catching a particular part of the subject matter. And this is very, very important. And when you're out street photography, look for the light. Difficult to do, but look for the light. And this is where I was mentioning to you before, you can use your EV control of your camera to underexpose. You're looking to underexpose, to bring in the dark shadows of street life. Rinzi Ruiz, my apologies. Check him out. Fantastic photographer. The next person is Valerie Jardin. Valerie, who I've had the great pleasure of being a tutor of hers in the Arcanum. I learned so much from Valerie. She is very widely respected throughout the industry. She's regularly on TWIP with Frederick Van Johnson. She has her own show, Street in Focus, and she does do her photo workshops, which are regularly oversubscribed. So there's a different style here you can see from Valerie. Valerie has a tendency to go more for that balanced type image and tonality to her images, but she is also aware of light and shadow. You can see this with the cyclist, shadow there. The girl standing up against the clock face, her shadow there. And she looks for the incidences, the how people are behaving on the street. The fellow asleep there in his chair, very close to the Louvre. The guy reading the newspaper, and the girl she's caught there on the tube. Finally, the spiral staircase, one person sitting still there, which she's managed to catch. Check out Valerie Jardin, a very good and well-respected photographer. And by the way, all she uses on the street is an X100T. That's all she uses. All these photographs here shown are from Paris, where she goes back to every year for her workshops. Classic example here on the Seine. Beautiful banks are lining up here, person walking right on the edge. And she loves catching incidences. Lovely girls walking past, fella's with his girlfriend, but he's looking at those girls there. Great incident. Moving on, Tomasz Leuthard. Tomasz Leuthard, I think, is probably going to go down in history as one of the greats. I don't say that lightly. Again, I've interviewed all these guys, by the way. Tomasz Leuthard from Switzerland is one of these photographers that has just got the knack. He finds something. Horizontal steps, vertical lines on her trousers. He's not frightened to go straight up to someone, take the photograph, move on quickly without even a buy or leave. You could say he's a bit intrusive, but look at that photograph. Fella reading the newspaper, he's got it. Superb. This is a little bit of a copy, so to speak, of the famous Cartier-Bresson image. And he said to me on the interview that it was a deliberate attempt to get as close as he could to that famous image. Check out Henri Cartier-Bresson and you'll find this image everywhere. Similar to it anyway. Street portraiture. He doesn't mind going straight up to people. Tomasz Leuthard takes the photograph and walks on. I would think in this particular case he's asked permission. Classic example there. Huge wall, person coming round. Look at that, light, shadow, detail. He's looking for the light all the time. People in the bus, caught them looking straight. Contact, eye contact, so important. That image would be nothing if those guys were looking away. It would be a boring image. And there's another one. That girl's looking straight down the barrel, and you can see Thomas' reflection here. He's got the camera down by his waist. A little bit of Vivian Maier style, straight through, and she's looking straight into the camera. If he's got a signal from her to take the image, fantastic. If not, I think she's probably thinking, what the hell are you doing, Thomas? A little bit of commercial work there. And then using the building, getting the light. And that's Tomasz Leuthard. Check him out. Now, the next one, again, spoken to this guy before, Tomasz Lazar, Fuji user, heavily into high contrast shadow and light. Look at this. This really starts, this work starts to make you think. There's a little bit of the photographer I was talking to you about, of Daido Moriyama in these images. Very dark, very intriguing images. You have to study them to see what's going on. And that's what I love about his work. A couple of cheeky shots, people in the buses looking around. And he's playing at light and shadow all the time. And this is the trick of good street photography. Look for the light. It doesn't matter that it's blurred. It just works in my book. Fella takes having a cigarette outside. Heavy grain on his image. Look at that. Not quite in focus. Again, it doesn't matter. He's showing people on the street. Superb images. And then final one, I end up there with lady taking the risk with the heavy storm behind. Now, interesting there, I said to John Dalton, watch your horizons and look at this horizon. It's way off kilter, but it doesn't matter to me, not in this particular case. Landscapes, I think, is important, but not in street photography. Interesting work, great photographer. I had a really great interview with him, so check him out on my Photography Live and Uncut website for the show, the interview show. Now we come to Daido Moriyama. Now, Daido Moriyama, Japanese photographer, has been he's made many books. Uses a compact film camera and just goes straight out walkabout. And again, we're looking here and we're seeing very strong use of light and shadow, contrast images, heavy on the grain. It's not vertical, but he's put a little bit of character into the image, and it makes you look at the image. It makes you want to be there. You're studying what is going on this Japanese area. I'm going to say, obviously, there's a tram there and there's a walkway to the side and cars and everything. But it just makes you want to look at his work. Again, slight tilt, but I'm not worried about that because I want to know I'm looking at that eye and the window is available because the poster has been torn. I think that's the last one in that rung. It's a bit of a short menu. Let's just go back and make sure we cover them all. That was the first one in that roll, heavy grain. And again, light and shadow being used. So what I thought I'd do as well, just to sort of see what's available, which you guys could probably look out for, is go to 500px.com and type in street as a search. And it's interesting how, in actual fact, images are shown in 500px if you search on street, because a lot of them, this in actual fact is the urban. So I've put in street, but I also put a sub menu list of urban photography, and that brings up these images here. And I really do stress for you to go and check this out, because there's a lot of people uploading images to 500px, and this is across the line now. You're seeing urban shots here, just buildings and items, dust carts, dustbins, and cars, buildings, streaky lights, dogs, cats. You're also seeing people, which is what I would term as street photography, the human form, the human involvement. Classic example here of people waiting at a train stop taken by Gabor Nagy, I think you pronounce his name there. And you can see there that basically you got the tram going, the underground going through while the guy's waiting for his train. These underground shots, an interesting color shot there on the streets of that looks like somewhere in India, and underneath the Eiffel Tower. Look at that. Superb work there by Gabor Nagy. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm going to try and get back to the main menu for you. Here we go. Let's just scroll down a little bit more. Graffiti. always find the graffiti, take a shot, and then work something out from it. There may be someone walking across in front of the graffiti, which is relating to the style of what is on that back wall. Always look for an unusual behavior. Always look for an alleyway where someone's walking past that alleyway to catch them. Could have been a motorcyclist, or in this case, a person walking past. Don't be frightened to ask people for their portrait. They love it. If they say no, don't worry, walk on. Say, thank you very much, Lee, for your time. Sorry to disturb you. Go on to the next person. If you've got a business card that says who you are with your Flickr or your Facebook account on there and said, I'd like to post it up, then do that, hand that over. You never know. They may call you back and say, I'd like a copy of that image. So always look for an opportunity, and they can only say no. And look forward to the no's, because there'll always be a yes down the line. So check out 500px as well. It's a great site. You can also do it on Flickr. Put in a search there on the Flickr site and put street or urban in, and you can see the work that's out there. And you'll learn a lot by looking at this type of work, especially on 500px, because I maintain that with 500px, I think you'll find that is you're getting some really top quality work being shown there. So that's just a real cover of street photography, and that's why I like it and enjoy taking photographs on the street. Always look for the light, please. Don't just set your camera to program, because the camera will just accept everything as a normal image, and it'll balance it out. Look for the light, look for the shadow, play about with your EV control, underexpose your images, get those dark areas, and look for the light that's reflecting off clothing or faces or a particular part of the body. Let me just go straight to the book now before I do a quick tips on maybe some Lightroom, just very, very quickly. The book this week is Street Photography Now. This is a fantastic book. It'll take you through all the different steps. There's some great imagery in here from all sorts of photographers from around the world, some of which you would think, well, that's not street photography. It's urban photography. And remember one thing, you are recording life as it is today. It's a very important job. Don't belittle it. Don't be put off by someone saying, no, it's only street photography. You are recording life on the street, and it's an important job, because in 10, 15 years' time, you won't see that. But you've got a record of it. You've got a record of it in your portfolio. And people will want to see it. Let me just find a couple more images to show you. This one is an absolute classic. Men's night out. Obviously some kind of stag party, called by the photographer. Photographer's name is Dakovich. Love it. Absolutely. So Street Photography Now, you can get that in Amazon. It's not an expensive book, under 20 quid, but you'll learn so much from that. So much from that. So what I want to do very quickly, if I can, I want to go into my Lightroom. It's going to take a bit of time to start off, because I had the sites open on Chrome there while we were looking at the other individuals. There's one other lens which I wanted to show you, which I've just recently purchased for the X100S. It's this lens here, which is the TCL version, which literally screws onto the front of my X100S, which gives me a 50mm equivalent. So it's nicely adaptable converter lens. I've used that for some recent portraits, and I've been very pleased with the quality. I'm just waiting for my Lightroom program to start up. But it's very important that when you, as I say, I've been reiterating that quite a few times now through the broadcaster, to look for the light when you're doing your street photography. It's so important. I'm having a bit of difficulty opening up Lightroom for some reason. It's always the way when I do this. If I don't get a strong enough signal, it won't go out. No, I'm sorry, I'm wasting time here. I can't get Lightroom to get started, which is a shame. I wanted to give an example of the vignette. Can't get back onto my broadcast now. I know you're still there. Right. We've now... That's it. I'm back. No, Lightroom wouldn't start. Do apologize for that. What I was in actual fact was going to show you was how to do the vignette to basically concentrate your viewers into the image. Let's try once more if it does start up again, because it will help John, especially on those landscape images that he uploaded to Flickr. And I think it's an important way, in actual fact, to edit your photographs to bring this vignette on the corners, not too much, just to basically concentrate and bring your viewer into the image to see it how you want it portrayed. And this is the most important thing when you're taking photographs, is you want to see you're taking a photograph for someone to look at, not just for your own personal view. And you want to make sure that person is seeing what you wanted to depict and what you wanted to show. So it's a concentration of creating that angle and getting everybody into your image. And you can use these editing tools to do that, especially with Lightroom. And in this case, as I've been discussing, the use of a vignette. I don't think it's going to work. Unfortunately, that's a great shame. This is what happens when you're live, and got some viewers, so I don't want to waste people's time. I think we're just about getting there now. So let's go to screen share quickly and pick an image. Let me just find one which is... now let's go to Brighton. Let's go to Brighton. And what image can I choose there? Okay, I just took this photograph of people sunbathing, and I was waiting to go on a workshop. That's how it basically has ended up. Go to the develop module. Lightroom is slow because I'm broadcasting live. No, it's not going to work. I say that every time I do it, and something happens. So, okay, we've got it. So I'm going to reset my image, which I've done there, which will bring it back as regards to how it was when I first did the image. And then you scroll down to the bottom and you have to enable profile corrections. So if you click on that, that'll give you the option as regards to what in actual fact you're using. For me, in this case, I was using the Fuji X100S. Okay, this is down in the bottom part of the menu of Lightroom. If you go further down, there is this post-cropping vignette, highlight priority, and you drag that down, and you can see you darken the corners. Now, you don't want to go silly on it because it makes it look like an old 1920s image, but you just need to fade it a little bit just to darken the corner. And what I'm trying to do there is to bring concentration in. This is not the best image that I would display, but it's something which I just wanted to show you how to darken those corners. So it's down to the lens corrections. You go to enable profile corrections. This also is where you can go to control the chromatic aberrations, where we were talking about that green line on John's image. And if you click there, that should correct it, but you can also make changes later on in another part of the menu. So there's the highlight control for your vignette, and that will basically darken the corners down. Take it the other way and you brighten the corners. So just drop it down to around about -15, works lovely. That's -20 in actual fact, which I'm happy with. Just another thing, you notice my horizon's not level. There you go. See, I make a comment about someone else's work and I go and show one where their horizon's not level. And the way to do that, click the dotted square at the top. That is your cropping tool. And then you select the level, the straightening tool, and you simply just take a line straight along on that horizon and it'll automatically level it up for you. That's also the tools you can use to basically crop the tool if you want to put a pano into that image. The selecting tool. A number of people have asked me about the selecting tool. If you select this button here where I'm highlighting now, I'm hoping you can see this. Yes, you can. Are you seeing this? Maybe a little bit delayed. I hope you can see it. There's a selecting tool on the right hand side which you can actual fact select, and you can darken. You select an area like that, and then you can adjust the image with your selecting tool. I'm going to work on that a little bit more for you next time. I hope you've been able to see some changes that have occurred on the image. Sometimes Lightroom doesn't switch over to the Google Plus, so apologies if that last 5 minutes has been a waste of time, but I think it's something which I'm going to have to try and work on to make sure that it works a little bit better for you. But that's said and done. That's how you will do the vignette. Go to the bottom, select lens corrections, and you get the tools available. Make sure your horizons are level by going to the crop tool, and of course the crop tool will also allow you to change the aspect ratio of the image that you've taken. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed workshop number 10, talking about street photography and a little bit of work on Lightroom. I hope the Lightroom part of it showed up on your screen. Apologies if it hadn't. Please, if you can spare the time, or if you've got a few pennies in your pocket, please buy yourself Street Photography Now. It's a great reference book for you to purchase, just under £20, available from Amazon, and that'll really point you in the right direction. All sorts of different aspects there. But one thing, when you're out street photography, look for the light. So important. Until next time, thank you for watching. Bye for now.